given the benefit of the doubt, Daniel Bryan was another one. But besides Daniel Bryan and John Cena, it was pretty much a owned WrestleMania by the Authority. And with how many people hate John Cena and how many people are against Daniel Bryan, I don't think that anything was taken away from WrestleMania in the way of positivity. It was one of the more criticized WrestleManias since WrestleMania 27, in my opinion, back in 2011. So they got to do something to make up for lost time and to make up for what happened at WrestleMania in the minds of wrestling fans. How many of you out there were pissed off over the fallout of WrestleMania 31 this year? I don't blame you if you were many of the millions out there that were pissed off about the fallout of WrestleMania 31 because we had more to be frustrated about. In the fallout of WrestleMania 31, you can count the number of things definitely without going past 10 on your fingers that would have pissed you off. 2 or 3 things at WrestleMania 31 this year could have been enough to piss you off. Just the fact Seth Rollins cashed in the briefcase the way he did to become champion. John Cena winning the U.S. Championship, the way Sting was ran over like a steamroller by the Authority. Just those 3 or 4 things alone pissed me off enough. We didn't even get up to 10 reasons as to why WrestleMania pissed us off. So just 2 or 3 big major things happening at WrestleMania was enough to do it for me. And this is why I'm saying this has got to be one of the more lackluster years in 2015 since about 2003, 2004 in the early thousands. I criticized 2003 and 2004 more than enough times on this radio show and on my website. But the difference between 2003, for say, and 2013 onward is 2003, 2004. Yes, you had a lot of old WCW alumni making up the storylines with people in Evolution like Triple H and Batista. But the thing is, at least you had creativity at an all-time high. In WWE, we were just too stupid to realize it back in 03 and 04. You compare 03 and 04 to 2013 and onward, and you would say that 2013, 14, and 15 are a far cry from what 2003, 2004, and 2005 were by the halfway point of the thousands. I mean, creativity was at an all-time high. You had everything going on with Evolution breaking up. Batista and Randy Orton making names for themselves. John Cena was coming into an evolutionary process of his career. I mean, so much was being done creatively. They were creating stars by 2005, and now in 2015 we have a limited number of legends, and we don't get enough out of the wrestling product like we want to see. So at least Sting and The Undertaker are getting us to a point of retrieval that we haven't been getting to for quite some time in professional wrestling. And when we get to that point of retrieval, by hopefully SummerSlam, something creative will come out of this. You know, I appreciate what WWE does to some extent, but I mean, King Barrett, what's going on there, don't really like that. Ryback being the Intercontinental Champion, winning one of his first major singles championships. It's beyond me why they didn't give him the championship when they could have given him the championship back in 2013 when he was one of their top 5 biggest names and fans were really high on Ryback. There was so much stupidity in WWE now in 2015. It is utterly ridiculous. So at least Sting and The Undertaker, you know, keeping legends true in professional wrestling, presenting a legendary feel is something very different. And I remember reading about fantasy matches between Sting and The Undertaker, who had a decisive advantage, who would have won if this match ever took place. I read the same about The Rock and Goldberg. So many people wrote fantasy articles about these fantasy matches. We have waited years to see him. We're at a point now, if Sting and The Undertaker happens, that we've seen virtually every dream match you can possibly think of. Sting and Triple H, The Rock and John Cena, The Rock and Goldberg. We've seen every dream match at least once happen in WWE, even if it was a one-time deal. We've even seen it happen outside of WWE for one-time deals in TNA wrestling. So with every dream match that's happened, with the exception of this one and possibly CM Punk and Stone Cold Steve Austin, which virtually has no chance of happening, let's get going with Sting versus The Undertaker. Let's get some creativity going on the rise for WWE, because creativity is at an all-time low, I think, in professional wrestling, and it's just utterly ridiculous what point we are at in professional wrestling history. We have so many fans of both The Undertaker and Sting crying out a desperate plea for WWE is going out to form a team between Sting and The Undertaker. We haven't seen it. A lot of people thought this would never happen, so let's get going with this. Let's stop putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, because by putting it off as long as what you're putting it off, that is resulting in ratings declines. And we have heard a lot of ratings reports over the last number of months about how the ratings are down, and it's because of one man. And the reason why the ratings are down is because of Triple H and the Authority, and how the Authority are running roughshod over the WWE. We've seen so many angles where factions have ran roughshod over WWE, the Hart Foundation, Degeneration X, the corporation, the corporate ministry, and now the Authority. And you go back even further with the Four Horsemen, the New World Order, back in the mid-90s. I mean, enough is enough with these factions running roughshods over major promotions. We saw enough of it back in the 90s. We don't need to see a rehatchment of something like the New World Order with the Authority, Seth Rollins, Kane, The Big Show, Triple H, Randy Orton, Stephanie, and their lust for power in WWE, and nobody going up against the Authority. So at least now the Authority is threatened by the existence of Sting and The Undertaker still running wild in WWE. And who else knows who's going to become involved in this angle? Brock Lesnar is a possible suggestion with how he was suspended in the fallout of WrestleMania 31. One of the biggest things to come out of WrestleMania, Brock Lesnar announcing he had re-signed with WWE. He was suspended the following night after losing the title to Seth Rollins in a match that was turned into a triple threat because of the Money in the Bank briefcase, and we haven't seen Brock Lesnar since his suspension. So that is a wild card that is still out there. I'm still high on Brock Lesnar returning. How about this? The Undertaker, Sting, and Brock Lesnar against the Authority and possibly a six-man tag team match by SummerSlam, with the Undertaker and Sting choosing Brock Lesnar as their third opponent when they're given the option to choose their third partner for a six-man tag team match against, say, Kane, Triple H, and Seth Rollins, WWE Champion Seth Rollins, setting up for Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins down the road. I mean, there are so many ways this can go. I just hope that ratings benefit from this, subscribers to the network benefit from this. I just hope that all wrestling fans benefit from this, with so many wild cards out there. If Sting and The Undertaker doesn't go the way that you want it to as a wrestling fan, of course, we still have Brock Lesnar out there and everything minimally going on creatively in WWE with King Barrett and things like that, the New Day, and trying to change the tag team division all the time. You know, we choose to criticize WWE a lot. Maybe we shouldn't be criticizing them as much as what we have been over the past, say, 3 to 4 months. Maybe we should give them the benefit of the doubt. I find it very difficult to give WWE the benefit of the doubt. I will not cover up that fact because I think that creativity is at an all-time low. And I think this is the first little bit of a sign of reprieve that we're going to be getting from WWE in a very long time. I can't remember the last time we got to a point of reprieve in WWE, so I have to offer a thank you to The Undertaker and Sting to agree to this contract they have signed, a very lucrative one, obviously, with WWE to do this angle against the Authority, because WWE desperately was crying out for something to happen, and obviously Sting signing last year was one of the biggest deals they ever struck up, especially after Brock Lesnar had turned him down in 2007. They needed something big, and they got Brock Lesnar eventually, and to add fuel to the fire that had already been set by people like Brock Lesnar in 2012 and The Rock coming back in 2011, we have Sting as an extra bonus for wrestling fans. And if there was ever a bonus in professional wrestling, Sting signing with WWE and leaving TNA Wrestling was a really big bonus. I remember a UK interview that Sting did that I actually posted on our Facebook page, a YouTube video at HEW Entertainment on Facebook, and I tweeted it on Twitter at Jonathan Clarke 1. And Sting said in the interview to UK interviewers that he didn't know what 2014 had in store for him. At that point in 2013, he was going to go one more year with TNA Wrestling, and he was going to see what 2014 had in store for him. He was just playing it day by day as he is with WWE, wanting to reach out and grab everything WWE threw his way. Obviously, this angle with The Undertaker is the next big thing thrown the way of Sting. He's reaching out and grabbing it. But he said that 2014, he was going to play that one by ear. Didn't know if he was going to stay with TNA or go to WWE at that point. And obviously, he made the decision to go elsewhere with his career and go to the big time again. The first time he's been in the big time since World Championship Wrestling, because outside of that, WCW, he did stuff with TNA and the Independents, which really is not a major level promotion, anything with a major level promotion until now. Who else can say they debuted in wrestling in WrestleMania? I mean, very few people have been able to say it. People besides Sting have been able to say it. Fandango debuted at WrestleMania, but very few people besides Sting and possibly people like Fandango and John Cena can say they made their debuts at WrestleMania, neither won or lost. But the thing about Sting is, you can criticize how the match went. There was so much hype behind Sting coming in, and he loses at a Triple H. And who better to lose to than Triple H? It was kind of an insult in the face of Sting, a slap in the face, a proverbial slap in the face of an icon like Sting. I didn't agree with it. Millions of other critics out there didn't agree with it, and I don't blame you. But, I mean, at least Sting went down swinging, and that tells me that we haven't seen the last of the vigilante Sting. I think that we see more from Sting. We will see more, continue to see more from him in the very near future, especially with the number of Sting fans we have out there, because the number of Sting fans are very significant, and it's noticeable that the number of Sting fans are going up all the time, and we have millions of fans of The Undertaker out there. I'd go as far to say that The Undertaker is the greatest WWE superstar of all time, with the most fans, more so than any WWE superstar has ever had. Sure, you have your Hulk Hogan's, your Bret Hart's, your Shawn Michaels, and they had their significant number of fans. But the number of Undertaker fans we have out there significantly outnumbers possibly even the number of fans Sting has over the years, and you combine the significant number of fans that Sting has with the significant number of followers The Undertaker has, especially on social media nowadays with how big of a campaign that is launched by WWE back in 2010, 2011, and the significance of that and how much of a role that plays with favoritism, and with how favoritism is a big thing for Sting and The Undertaker. Can you imagine the numbers of fans that will be watching the product now if Sting and The Undertaker team up and eventually go one-on-one at a WrestleMania? The possibilities are literally endless with Sting and The Undertaker, and because I'm a huge fan of Sting and The Undertaker, I am endorsing this angle, and I hope they go all out with it. They go the full length with it, because it's an angle that deserves to be exemplified in very depth detail, and it's an angle that deserves to have be gone all out with, because there are so many fans out there of Sting and The Undertaker, and I concur with WWE's decision to have this happening very close at a SummerSlam. Of course, the next big event to WrestleMania is SummerSlam, and the second oldest to WrestleMania will be Survivor Series. So I'm looking ahead at a SummerSlam being the next big event on the WWE pay-per-view calendar, and something big being done with this Undertaker-Sting angle going up against the Authority, because a threat hasn't been posed to the Authority since WrestleMania 31. And something to keep in mind, Triple H broke his losing streak, and everything's been going pretty good for the Authority. They've been all on the same page. A couple of disputes here and there between Kane and Seth Rollins, not much, just a little blemish. They got past that. Everything's been going positive for the Authority, going the way of the Authority a little bit too much. How much longer is it going to be before something breaks for the Authority and they're taken off this pedestal of authority in WWE supremacy, if you would, is the word I'm searching for. You know, I've called Triple H and Stephanie power crazy, megalomaniacs. I've definitely thrown a lot of terms the way of Triple H and Stephanie, because I don't agree with how they're running the company, even more so now, with how I didn't agree with how they were running the company without the Authority. I hate it even more so now, the direction of it with the Authority, backing Triple H and Stephanie the way they have, in the way of Kane, Seth Rollins, The Big Show, Randy Orton when he was